unless anybody is watching this on Facebook, we did get a notification that they're having a problem with the messages and the live videos right now. So if you want to talk to us, go to twitch.tv/Gratwick. Is that correct?
Gratwick Gaming on Twitch or YouTube.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. So if you want to talk to us, we can still talk to you. But right now, it's not going to be able to show it up as it normally does in the live feed. Just letting you know, quick update. So yeah, I started a new job last week. That's why we didn't do Monday, because I worked Monday.
Surprise booking.
Surprise double booking, I guess that's what they call it, is I got booked a double. Woo woo. I thought that meant 2 different jobs, but it's in and out. So I was there at 4 in the morning is when I started, but we had to be there an hour beforehand.
4 in the morning.
Yeah, baby. Down at Staples Center. Woo woo. So my first gig, I got to be a props pusher. Very fun. Pretty much just taking everything from the trucks and putting it out on stage in different sections for all the departments that need to then put up all the equipment and everything. So
I believe your official title is stagehand.
I am part of the stagehand union.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's out of the bag.
It's out of the bag. I got to sign up got officially in this week. So yay for that. Which means I get to help out doing a lot of the crew work that many people see. They're all the crew people who wear blacks, pretty much stage blacks. And luckily it's something that I know how to do, because my school was a little strict about that everyone had to do every department. So you had to be a stagehand, a props pusher, carpentry, lighting, sound, wardrobe, stage management, and then you were allowed to do acting.
We failed to load a specific piece of media this week, dear. We should have loaded the picture of you in your little hard hat, all ready to go to work, and your utility belt with your tools. I don't know, it's not going to show up as good as if it was.
Well, it's never going to be as good.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever as good.
Yeah, you wear a nice shiny white hard hat to work, so everybody knows you're the new girl. Oh.
That was me.
Taking a little work selfie.
Yeah, that was my very first picture, my very first job in the car before, when I made sure I was in the right parking lot. And then I had to go back in that night for a load out after the show. So this was me in fresh clothes. Maybe, there we go. You can kind of see it. Kind of. Yeah. The lighting is just
the brightness is clashing.
Yeah. Too much bright. Yeah. Either way, we'll post it later on, or you can go on to the Gratwick Productions page, and I guess I'll allow Chris to post the pictures. I don't usually allow that. I don't like it.
Going forward, if Andrew does end up having to work on Mondays, I'm probably going to start doing the show alone here and there. So be prepared
or
for that.
We could choose a different day. How about we leave it up to the audience? What do you guys think? If I do, but here's the thing. It's not fair to even do this to anyone, because know if I'm going to work until the day beforehand. I call in every day, since I'm the low man on the totem pole. I call at the end of the day when it's only like the last few jobs are available, or the ones no one wants, or the ones someone just called off because they decided they'd rather not work tonight. So I'm on the lucky to get a call list, but as we were saying, I don't know if I'm going to be working until like 5 o'clock for the next day. So picking another day isn't exactly fair.
No,
I can't stick to that schedule.
There's just be some times where you might be booked, and we gotta muscle through the show without you. In which case, we can sit down a little picture of you in your hard hat right there in your seat next to me, and we can still have you on the show that way.
Yeah, we'll have a talk about that a little bit later, because that sounds a little bit like the main subject of tonight's topic.
Well, you won't be
I don't exactly appreciate using my image without me here.
We don't have the technology to make you talk, but the
you'll find it.
The deepfakes are coming.
You're gonna start looking and go down some rabbit hole and find another Grid fan, but they just happen to do the talk over. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
I worked Monday, and then all week I was on the wait list, which means if anyone else calls out, they might call me. And then I got very, very lucky this weekend where I called in, I was on the wait list, and then they called back and said, hey, do you want to work tonight? And I was like, heck yeah. And then they called back again and said, do you want to work tomorrow night? And I was like, do I have to pick one or the other? And they said, no. I said, then heck yeah, load them up.
Give me all the shifts.
So I got to do the loadout on Cardi B concert at the Staples Center, and then last night.
Now.
I got to work after the BET Awards. They did some show out in the plaza, their live show. So once they cleared out the show, I got to help the electrical people. So I've now done 2 departments. I'm very excited. I don't know if you guys know.
We need to go visit the goat lady. You need to get some needle-nose pliers yesterday.
Oh, I got a crescent wrench.
Yes, wrench.
And I borrowed needle nose pliers and a wire cutter, which the wire cutter actually came in handy. The other stuff.
You had to cut a wire?
I lent it to
You didn't cut the red one, did you?
The head of our crew, I lent it to them. That was helpful.
That's what happens when you cut the red wire.
That is seriously long. long sound effect. Oh my god.
That's why you don't call them the nuclear strikes unless you really need
Yeah,
it.
you really don't need to. So, yes, that's what I've been doing. Plus, I did some background work, overnight background work on America's Top Dog. So I got to see dogs run obstacle courses. I won't tell you which dog won because they didn't tell us names, so it really doesn't matter anyway. It was the meanest
you
thing
under
ever.
heavy security on what you can and can't say about the dog show?
One of the dogs won.
Uh-oh.
They
Now you're really spilling
the
beans.
course is out by where they do Wipeout. So we could actually see the big Wipeout like pool thing where they set up everything. You could see that off in the distance. It was out in the middle of the canyons. They warned us about rattlesnakes and about coyotes. And that coyotes are not the dogs. If you see one, they're not the dogs. Do not approach them. And do not approach the dogs either, because they're working right now and they're all keyed up. So, yeah.
They're all probably wondering if the coyotes are going to come get them.
We kind of felt that way a little bit. They warned us, don't go outside of the light. Don't go off the path. Like, we were literally out in
Is
the
this
middle of
a
nowhere.
Jurassic Park base camp?
It's called Sable.
Save it in
Ranch.
the electric fence at all times.
And, yeah, it was... I mean, the people were nice. They gave us boxed lunches that were disgusting. Like, sandwiches that were, like, 14 hours old, not refrigerated. Just... But we did have a very beautiful couple of nights out there. One night it drizzled the whole night. That was fun. We all sheened. So yeah, busy last week for me. Just working and being on sets, which I greatly enjoy.
It's given me quite a bit of Chris time when I'm not doing laundry.
Chris and Bear time.
Yes. When I'm not doing dishes and laundry, I did watch a Bob Lazar documentary on Netflix the other night that people have been talking about. We should probably fall asleep to this one of these nights. This is totally up our nighttime watching alley.
What's the name of the show?
It's basically just Bob Lazar. Do you know who Bob Lazar is, dear?
I know the name, and I'm sure if you tell me one or two other things, we've probably seen them.
So, way back in it was definitely the late 80s, but it might have been as early as the late 70s, but by 89, I think it was right around 89. This guy, Bob Lazar, worked for, or I guess quote unquote claims to have worked for, an S4 program which was based out of Area 51.
The dude who talks about aliens, who is the former government dude. Is that who we're talking about? Is that who Bob Lazar is, the one who died?
No, he's not dead.
So you're not talking about the dude who has kind of hair like blondish like yours.
No, there's
like the I worked at Area 54. Not that.
No, that guy was there's another guy who is from the 70s that was part of the construction crews that built the underground bases and bunkers, and he claims to have gotten caught up in an alien government firefight there and all that. And that guy did actually end up getting killed. Can't remember his name, but it is another big name in the UFO community. Bob Lazar, more importantly.
Yeah, back to it.
This guy was like in the 80s. He was just a total computer nerd. He was building rockets and like hooking engines up to bikes and stuff in his garage and shooting flames out the back of go-karts and all sorts of crazy 80s computer nerd stuff, right? Straight out of Real Geniuses. Well, one of these type of dudes.
Okay.
So apparently, like when he was like, he went to either MIT. I can't remember what college that he said he'd go to, but they swear he didn't go there. Even though this is the best part, they swear they didn't go there, even though his name's on the student roll from a list of the students in the student phone book during that period of time. He was in the local news as a student from, I think it was Caltech or something like that, for some science thing that they did that was on the news. So they saw history document. No.
Maybe they meant he didn't graduate.
No, they have no. They claim they have no record of him going there. So anyway,
after that fire, you know how that goes.
So anyway, Bob after Caltech says that he put in a bunch of applications and all these different places, and this front company responded to him in Las Vegas and said, "We want to hire you as a scientist." I forgot what his area of expertise was, like rocket propulsion and all that type of stuff. But he wasn't raised in like secret programs. He doesn't come from a family of secret programs. He's not these type of people that like are born into it and lockstep in like toeing the line. And
there's no nepotism.
Yeah, there's no legacy line here of protocol where you don't step out of line. So he's just a dude, and they're like, "Hey, you want to come work for us?" And like he's like, the first day of the job, they took me down to the bunker and were showing me an alien spaceship and wanted me to help reverse engineer the spacecraft. And he's just getting,
Come straight to the point.
Yeah.
You don't got time to dick around people. Can you do it or not?
He's like, I signed NDAs and stuff, and all that. But he's like, right off the get-go, they were showing me this stuff, and so his job was trying to help reverse engineer anti-gravity machinery, and that he gets into like all sorts of nerd stuff.
So did he inspire Back to the Future? The second one? Did he know the guy? Because the cars, the flying. What the hell?
No. According to him, they still have not potentially cracked that nut. But he gave a great analogy in the documentary about what they're dealing with.
They still haven't fixed that?
So they've got like in our modern day we have stuff that would be like powered by like nuclear power. And if it went back in time, in like the 1800s, they found this. They tried to reverse engineer it. They would take it apart, look at it, all this what makes it tick, and everyone in the room would probably die from nuclear radiation. Anyone that came in to check on them would die from the radiation, and nobody would understand what it is or why everyone's dying. So they would think it's some sort of spooky, crazy magic or haunted or cursed object there, or a ritual object, in sense. And he's like, this is kind of what we were dealing with trying to reverse engineer this and that type of thinking that, like, we don't know what you can take apart and tinker and what, like, you're going to expose to some invisible
what
radiation.
What the consequences are going to be.
Yeah, and he's like, we never really did crack that nut during my time that was there. But apparently in the late 80s, they tried to get rid of him and bump him off a few times, and this is why he decided to become a whistleblower. Because it's funny, it's an old news interview in the documentary. They're like, so you're like, why are you doing this? Why are you telling all this stuff? Basically an insurance policy. And the guy's like, well, and like, you care about humanity, the betterment of humanity. And he's like, well, I mean, there is that part of it, but really it's just an insurance policy at this time because like I'm afraid somebody's gonna kill me. And it's like, so if I get it out there, like there's no point in killing me anymore. And he's like total like 80s Silicon Valley nerd with the big glasses that they used to have and
like the Bill Gates.
Oh yeah. Totally
Young Bill Gates.
in that
cool
makeup.
bottle glasses. My parents still wear those sometimes.
But now he's look from like the documentary. It looks like he runs his own fireworks business. So he mixes chemicals and stuff to create fireworks and stuff like that.
Wonderful. He works in explosives.
Yeah, but like everyone in his life, his family members, his friends, people have known him for 20 years. All this, these people. Like head over heels, believe him, trust him, like have no doubts about his entire story, what he did, where during that time period, people that knew him during that time period. It's a fascinating documentary and really gets into because he's like and he goes out of his way a bunch of times. Like I'm not going to speculate here. I never saw an alien or anything like that. I saw technology that I know for a fact was not from this planet, was from anywhere else. Is that so? I can say I saw that specifically. But he's like, other than little seats inside the things, like, I don't know what the aliens look like. I didn't see them. But, like, it's 100% confirmed in his mind that he was working on alien technology. And, like,
that's awesome.
It's a fascinating documentary.
Like, literally full of awe.
Yeah. So that was the rabbit hole I dived down the other night. Bob Lazar.
Very interesting. And that was on Netflix?
Yes, that's a Netflix documentary that's out there. Like, Bob Lazar's been a big name in the underground conspiracy theories and stuff forever, but the documentary is really kind of
Explaining
getting
it
out
all.
there to the normies.
So it's kind of an overview from the very beginning to current.
Well, yeah, there's a ton of his like from the 80s when he was going around the news circuit telling people before he was revealed when they had like the shadow and the voice and like we're talking to Dennis who said he used to work at Area 51. Like they've got all of that interview stuff from when he was coming through there and found a bunch of other stuff to add into it that was pretty impressive stuff. Like here's kind of how deep into it. So like. They showed, there's old interviews of how he's talking about, so when we came to work each day, we had to get scanned in, and he's trying to explain the scanner thing that, like, depressed with your fingers, and you had to put your hand on it. And
like the one on Total Recall at the end where they had to have the alien hand go in to get it to all
sort of,
pressurized.
but not really. But the big thing he was explaining on this is, he's like, it shoots light through your finger and measures the length of the bone inside your finger. And
it's the bone density.
No,
but what happens
length,
if your bone density goes?
Apparently your bone length doesn't change. So
Bull crap. Osteoporosis.
So
bull crap.
This security was scanning your fingers using the length of your bone as the recognition security clearance.
Isn't that almost easier to get in if you know someone who has the same size hands as you? Then you could just pretend to be them and go in. Like that's worse than fingerprinting.
I don't know what to tell you, dear. It's next level security clearance stuff, and they thought it was pretty safe.
I don't know. It kind of sounds like 17th century.
Anyway, so he explained this whole thing, and a lot of people over the decades since discredited him by saying there's no such clearance thing like that. There's nothing exists like it. There's nobody in high security's ever come across anything like this. It doesn't freaking exist.
And now?
So the documentary filmmaker actually hunted down pictures and photos now, like 40 years later from when he was talking about this thing, of what looks like this 1970s hand scanner thing and all of that, and the whole explanation of it, that it scans your bone and the length of the fingers. And it's exactly what he's talking about in this interview from decades ago, that everybody thought he was crazy and was unheard of thing, that now decades later, here's evidence that that existed exactly what you're talking about. This whole S4 division of, like, he was talking about Area 51 before anyone even like acknowledged that there was an Area 51 there, the base and all that. So that it's come out, there is a department there that is with S4, and so it's like pretty.
So if you're into that kind of stuff, Chris recommends it.
Pretty strong evidence that Bob Lazar does not believe we're alone.
Well, at one point or another, I think they saw us and went, shh, get the heck out of here. It's like going to a crappy resort. Nope. They saw our planet and left. We destroyed it.
From aliens to economics.
Oh, we're going to go to the two ways that we're, okay.
Yeah, so I've gotten into a little a Twitter debate in the last 24 hours here. And I'll say debate because it's definitely not a tiff. And there's been no name calling as of yet.
Wow, well, very adult of everyone.
It's two individuals from Fringe, Hacker, Anonymous.
Okay, how about we have nothing to do with hackers or Anonymous? How about you just tell us
They're
Fringe
from,
what?
That's what I'm getting at.
What are the two different beliefs?
Those kind of fringe communities on the internet. They travel within those circles. So on one hand, one of them believes, total extremist, that the problem with it, so let's start with where they agree, and where I agree with both. We all agree that capitalism is in what an economic person has determined the cancer stage of capitalism. And it's on its last leg, it's not sustainable. So all three different minds here coming into this discussion believe on this universal truth. From that, the capitalist guy is like the extremist of extremism capitalism, to what I've never even heard before. He believes the problem that, and he's at a certain point.
Okay, he believes
that the problem with capitalism, the reason that's failing, is because of over-regulation and trying to manage and control capitalism instead of just completely freeing the beast to survival of the fittest and taking all the restrictors off. To the point that he believes government, and this shit is straight out of Hallowed Be Thy Name, the book I'm writing. He believes that government is redundant and obsolete in a capitalist society. You don't need that because the capitalists will just regulate everything by the open and free market. So, almost he's arguing for anarchism because he believes anarchism is the true form of capitalism and capitalism is the true form of anarchism.
Okay, so how would the roads get made and fixed? The government does that.
Yeah.
Like, that's part of what we're taxed for.
It would be privatized.
But how would you know when a road needs to be, like, everyone who lives on that block is supposed to make a collection, and they go, our block, from here to here, not further down, because we don't live there, but we just don't want potholes on our street. How does that work? That makes no sense in my mind.
That's a solution that's easily solved by the other guy's extremism position.
No. I want to know how in the capitalist world, idea that there's, like, regulate what? Make sure that they don't put chemicals that are in face cleaner?
Well,
like, what kind of regulations are stopping anyone from making a dollar?
Laws, basically.
What laws are stopping you from having a business?
The ones that make it illegal to rob, loot, and pillage, which in its purest form is the heart of capitalism, is to take and consume everything you can get your hands on and create value and wealth out of manufactured scarcity. So you create the illusion of scarcity to drive the price and the demand up on something, and that's capitalism at its core. And then you end up with a surplus of everything because it all has to go obsolete quickly because you have to sell more. So every year there's got to be a new model, a new version, a new all this. And it creates wastelands of cell phone chargers, wastelands of obsolete cell phones, cars, all of these things that like had a premium value in a moment because it was manufactured. And then the floor drops out on that because the new version came on and the value plummets.
It only matters if people give a crap about the new version. If you have something that is working and you don't feel the need to spend more money, that it grinds to a halt. They've spent money on making a new version that nobody wants. Not everyone is going to be the iPhone.
But the heart of capitalism...
And I think a lot of businesses have learned that.
The heart of the capitalism is not in a cure. It's in living with a condition. So nobody wants to build a car that can last forever.
Sorry, everybody.
Nobody wants to build a car that can last forever because...
I want a car that can last
forever. But there's no money in building a car for last forever because you're never going to have another car customer. They're going to buy the car and that's going to be the end of it. So capitalism needs consumption. And for consumption to happen, there has to be a deterioration.
In all theory, that's incorrect because every year there are new drivers. Every year there is someone new, at least a few more 100,000 people who want a car.
It's not enough to sustain the greed of capitalism at its core.
That's it. The greed that will kill them and choke them.
Well, that's what capitalism is always having more and more and more. And for that to be, there has to be a market. There has to be a consumer willing to consume more and more and more. So if the shit doesn't break down, or if it doesn't go obsolete, there's no motive to buy more and more and more.
Okay, so if there's no government, there's no police force, which I'm guessing they would say that those with money can have a private police force. But that also means that those with money, anyone with money, can hire anyone. And how is anyone's cop more authoritative than anyone else's if they all go with guns?
So, again...
Are you kidding me with this?
It's survival of the fittest and anarchism. And... the irony is, all these different models are actually more humane than the way we do handle the people at the bottom of the totem pole on all this stuff. So the other guys...
I don't even see how the bottom of the totem pole has a chance in that.
The other guy's end of the spectrum is a resource-based economy distributed by blockchain-type algorithms. Now, the most popular version of this is the Venus Project, which the backdrop for this week is the layout and the model of the proposed Venus Project city design, where your hubs and your things that everybody needs access to are at the center.
It looks like something built in Dubai. Like, especially because all the little lakes on there, like, it looks like something they would already have.
So the whole premise of the Venus Project is creating a self-sustainable, efficient community based on technology that already exists. And the guy, Jacques Fresco, I believe his name is, the pronunciation last name was terrible one. But anyway, he's been tooting this horn since the 70s and has this whole model, vertical crop silos. If anyone watches Gratcast regularly, I've tooted and praised the horn of the Venus Project infinitely. It's actually my motivation for wanting to become a billionaire is to be able to finance a city like this, because nobody else is ever going to put the money up for it because there's no profit in it. It's a self-sustainable city. So that's why there's no motivation for a capitalist society to build a city like this. But the way this guy on the complete opposite end of the spectrum believes is you program algorithms to distribute out the rations and the wealth and the resources based on where the most important needs are, where it's needed most. Everything communicates with each other, so it runs with the most efficiency. When it's running with the most efficiency, there's not scarcity of the essential needs. There's enough for everybody, and it's all distributed correctly and properly. My position is the dead center of these two communities. I believe that as humanity and society evolves, the bare minimums of survival should become givens or rights in our society. So water and air. Everyone loves capitalism, but what would happen if capitalism went to the point where, hey, I have found a way to harness the air and I can now distribute it out to you as a sales product? Or what Hershey tries to do all the time, control the water access and then sell it back to us. If those two things were privatized, people would lose their freaking minds if they didn't die first. So again,
you do have to pay for water. Water to your house, you still have a monthly bill. You're paying for the privilege.
But if you want to, you could go find a creek and you could scoop water out of there yourself, drink it, and whatever. Air, open your mouth, you can breathe it. You've got access to these things one way or the other. They're maybe not the best, they're ideal, but compared to the 1800s, 1500s, air and water, standards of living. I believe health insurance, or health care, food, and shelter should all be covered under these basic living conditions that you are given as a bare minimum. So you have, I don't know, if you want to call it a socialist foundation.
What about education?
What about it? Well, education.
Dude, you were ready to just be like,
education.
Everyone is homeschooled.
So
good luck if you're not.
Education, healthcare, food, and shelter. Now, I'm not talking everybody should be given a 3-bedroom house, a mansion, things like this. I'm talking about the technology and the resources exist that you can 3D print mini houses. Little 1-bedroom studios that run on solar power, completely energy efficient, no burden on anybody. For food, I'm not talking about giving them an open spending limit to buy junk food, crap, everything, all this. I'm talking about that Soylent Green type stuff, the ugly, gross goo that has all the nutrients you need to survive, and you can live off of it. There's your bare minimum as a human being. If you want more than that, go earn it in a capitalist society. Go educate yourself. Go get a job, go do whatever you want to get paid more, go contribute to society, and you can get above and beyond those things. You can get a steak dinner, you can get a bigger house, all of those type of things. But if you just want to sit there like a bump on the log, sit in your tiny house, drink your green goo, and stay out of everybody's way. This is a much safer society than today, where we just ignore those people because they're bums or homeless and they can't contribute to society. So screw them, we just ignore them. And what happens? We've got diseases running the streets of LA. They're expecting the bubonic plague to break out this summer in the streets of LA. That's for real.
Good thing we live up in the canyon.
Every single disease and problem that plagues our modern societies can be traced back to motivating factors of survival needs. Food, shelter, access to opportunities, all of these type of things. So the options, if you start from a position where you can't get rid of the dregs of society, any system, any model, they're going to exist. In a capitalist society, purely capitalist society, bless you.
Sorry, everybody. I knew it was going to come eventually. I was trying to fight it for so long.
We're basically ignoring these people to rot and die slowly in the streets of our city, and they only grow more and more and more. It's only a matter of time before a tipping point is reached, and there's more of them than us, and freaking they come for us. That's a real concern at some point. The other end of the spectrum is genocide. So unless you're all for genocide, which will just wipe out bums and people that can't carry their own weight, now we're full on dystopian crazy society. They're going to be there either way. So in purely capitalist society, they're going to prey on the weaker people, steal, rob, whatever they need to do to survive, because they're not going to go suddenly get a job because you think that's the productive way to contribute to society. On the other end of the spectrum, they've given the basic needs to not at least have to prey on their fellow citizens, and there's a better chance that some of them will at least take bigger chances, work in, contribute to society, raise from up in there and want more in a legitimate way when they have a safety net that they can lean on and fall back on. Either way, the statistics are going to be overwhelmingly safer in a community where everybody's at least taken care of on a bare minimum level. It's a much safer community here. That's my position.
I like the Venus Project idea. I like that everyone, depending on your aptitude, on your skills, you get a job. That everyone has a home, that there's a system to everything. I like that. And it isn't communism in the way that people think of it. It's a community. It is literally a team deciding, if we all live here, we're going to make it all work. And everybody has to contribute somehow. But that also means everybody gets food, everybody gets shelter, everybody gets to have fun time. And they also get to do what they enjoy, like, in life.
If humanity is truly going to reach that point and reach that true state of enlightenment where the survival needs can be automated and people are free to explore and pursue whatever their heart desires.
As long as you're contributing. Like, there are many ways to contribute. That's the whole point of the Venus Project, is you can contribute in so many different ways. You don't have to be a worker and...
That's not really what the Venus Project is. At the heart of the Venus Project, it runs by itself. You don't have to do any of those things. It's completely automated. You're free to pursue whatever your goals and choices are in life. If you just want to play every day, you can. If you just want to play video games every day, you can. It's the confidence that humans don't need a carrot to have to enjoy their lives and to make something of their lives. That if you free them to pursue their own passions and goals, they will be much more productive, happy, and fulfilling to where a collective community can reach its highest potentials and goals. So ultimately, if we're going to survive into the future of humanity and be an enlightened intergalactic society, that's where we got to get to. But you can't just go from capitalism to that overnight. Without a cataclysmic event that causes casualties, loss of life, war, all sorts of horrible transition things. The way to transition from there, I think, is you create that bare minimum foundation for survival needs. Eliminate survival needs from the war of man versus man, and immediately you can save capitalism for the purists, and you can start moving towards a society where people are happier.
Did you see what came out today in the news?
I did not. What did?
Bernie Sanders made this proposal to erase all previous student loan debt. All of it. I love it. And his whole reason is because most of the debt is from people who are having to deal with the 2008 crash. And it was the younger generation that's having it all on their freaking shoulders. People who had just graduated college or were just starting off in real jobs. People who were in college. People who were heading off to college. And even worse, the price of everything went up because of that. And Wall Street was given trillions of dollars. Only fair that they have to repay it by erasing those ones and zeros that aren't even real, that they're making up anyway and controlling. How about we get everyone a fresh new start where that is one bill you don't have to worry about? Big freaking deal if you people don't have jobs to be able to call in. Hey, Siobhan, hey, Em. Hello.
I think if you're going to go that route, though, you have to issue some sort of tax credits over a period of time to the previous generations that have already paid off their student loans.
That's perfectly fine.
If the
incentive for having done it and paid into the system, by all means. Make it fair for everyone. Give them a little bonus at the end of each year. Maybe they have more put into their 401k. Instead of giving it back to them when you want to retire, you've got more there.
Well,
because they know how much you paid, because that was in your taxes. You have to report how much you paid to your student loan payments. So then you just There you go, extra retirement bonus.
The other way that could be a fair way to do it, if Uncle Sam really wants to pick up the education tab, would simply be to...
And it's not Uncle Sam, it's Wall Street. There's a very big difference. Wall Street was given money by Uncle Sam. Wall Street can give it back.
Just like we learned from the last guy.
Because it's all imaginary anyway.
You can't spend other people's money and just say what they're going to do.
Oh,
so
baby.
If the goal of Uncle Sam is...
Not with our president now. You can spend anyone's money and say what they're going to do.
If the goal is to go ahead and eliminate student debt, I think a better way might be to go about that by saying anyone that still has student debt doesn't have to pay taxes until the student debt is paid.
Screw that. I'll pay taxes over student loans.
I'm saying instead of
the amount will never add up to the same. No.
Absolutely.
No.
Oh, come on.
With the interest being added on?
Hold up.
Boom! As someone who doesn't have student loans, you don't get to talk about it.
The average person pays $10,000 to $15,000 or more in taxes per year. So if that went to your student loans and you didn't have to pay your student loans, and then you pay taxes once you're working and got a job and your student loans are all cleared up, I think that's a fair trade between America and the next generation.
No.
Yeah.
Those interest rates are the amount. Nah.
The point is, it's not coming out of your pocket. It's coming out of Uncle Sam's pocket. It's just over time. And
it's coming out of my pocket because those taxes come out of my paycheck.
But you're paying that to Uncle Sam or the student loan either way. So imagine you're just paying Uncle Sam and he's giving it to the student loans and paying them for you.
Not all of us are blessed not to be bogged down with student loans, Chris.
That would be a good way to pay my student loans. If I have to pay thousands of dollars a year,
if you were 60 in the hole.
Yes.
That sounds like a great plan for right now, as opposed to it just being gone, so it doesn't weigh on you constantly.
That's a utopian wish that if it comes true,
no, that's
great.
Grandpa Sanders. Grandpa Bernie's going to make it happen.
A more likely scenario is trading the taxes of the citizen for the time it takes to repay those student loans. That's
holy crap.
What?
Do you see what time it is? It is late.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this part up because holy moly, Jesus.
Well,
what's going on in July? Anything going on in July? Besides 4th of July, which is my niece's twins. That's their birthday.
Don't make me call it an airstrike.
Dude, it takes too long. Let's go.
What's
going on in July?
They got the sonar on. They're looking for a target. So, I'm now that Andrea's got a sweet, awesome job that she has fun at. We're gonna be able to drive a little less, which is a blessing for everybody. Which means I'm going to put some time and effort into totally revamping our social media presence and our day-to-day business operating procedures. So with that being said, each month I'm going to try to have a specific theme that's touched on throughout our social media channels over the course of the month.
Okay.
What July's theme is going to be is one of the funner parts of the Gratcast brand that has not really been touched upon much in all of the how great the business model hoopla is.
Okay, what would that be?
The expanded universe of creative content that we have and how it all connects together. So over the course of July, I'm going to share with people a lot of the different mediums and things that we have in the works and how it all connects together and what that big picture looks like as a full universe of intellectual property.
Well, it's a good thing you have a whole month because you got a lot of content.
A lot. We're going to keep it to the ones that already have posters created, log lines, and stuff like that. So there's a whole timeline that spans about 500 years. And there's some developed content through there, and then there's what we know is going to have to fit in with all that and can dovetail out into other stuff as well. So it's really the developed content that we're going to share first, like the novel that's coming, the TV series that we've got a pitch deck for, some of the different movies, Just Drive, all of that we're going to put together in a whole thread throughout the month of introducing some of that stuff.
That'll be very exciting.
Yes. That's our Gratcast section for this week.
That was our update on what's going on with that part.
Yes.
Okay, Chris. Now, it is hilariously 6:45 already, and we are now getting to the main topic. So,
Well, there was two main topics. The economics discussion was the other main topic.
that was definitely a topic.
So it took a chunk of time.
All right, so let's get into what's your new discovery this week? What did you find?
Well, it wasn't so much a discovery, but I came across an article this week, which was on Wired, and it was talking about Jon Favreau and how his team put together The Lion King, the live action Lion
The remake of it.
Yes, that just came out recently. And so, anyone who watches Gratcast kind of in the past, I've talked a lot about the future of VR filmmaking and how I'm excited for where it's going to go, but there's still this gap that in the technology between where it's at and where it needs to get to.
So when
be
they
able to
say
do
VR
that.
filmmaking, can you watch it in VR glasses?
Well, that's exactly it. Live. So there's video games. There's all that kind of interesting stuff that you can already do in the VR world. But live action, where you have actors and it's real sets and stuff like that. The problem within that is, in a VR world, the audience can move wherever they want within the set.
That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah. So if it's a VR scene, a live action scene with two actors, the first thing every person with a pair of headset is going to do is they're going to try and walk behind and stand behind the actor and see what's behind them. Because like right now,
Because you never see that side.
the camera's shooting me. You guys can't see my back.
You can't see where the camera is that way. So most people would want to walk around behind and see what we are.
So if we were scanned right now into a VR world, and you were standing in that world, and you walked behind me in between the wall and me, there would be no media for my back. It wouldn't exist. The computer wouldn't know what to make. You wouldn't have to know where it is. So how do we solve that hurdle is really what the question for me is on getting to VR filmmaking. What The Lion King did is kind of a hybrid of where I thought it was going, and to a degree that even blew my mind away, and what this article kind of talks about, is they create, so the Sahara landscape that the whole set of The Lion King is filmed in, all their different locations and all that, that's all scanned into a 3D universe, a VR world. And then the creators, the film crew, the team, they wear VR headsets, step into that VR world and use virtual equipment the same as they would in the real world, except it's just...
See, what I read was there is actual equipment that they're holding, so it feels like what they're used to using. Like they were talking about the Steadicam guy had some brace and machinery that was in a similar shape to what he would use in real life, but it doesn't actually do anything. It's more for him to be able to know how he's guiding everything along and doing it.
So
because there's view pointers.
Yeah, so because of that, any pixel on the X and the Y axes, anywhere in the universe, you can create the viewpoint for the camera. And the camera only exists just so the filmmakers see where it is and see where the viewpoint is.
But they can pretend that there's multiple cameras and position all these viewfinders 360 if they want, so they can pop around to different spots.
So now they've got their viewfinder set up and pointed at whatever they're framing up for this shot, the lions all there, all this stuff. And now they can tell Bob to just trigger the sunrise to go across their whole stage and their whole set that's in a VR world, get the shot that they need, and shoot all this. So they're calling it the live action Lion King, but it's really not, because most of the stuff was shot in a 3D world. So now how do you get behind the characters and all this stuff? That's where there's been a lot of talk in the news and all this stuff recently about deep fake technology. They've been able to take the Mona Lisa and make her look like she's talking. They've taken old pictures of...
That sounds funny.
Yeah, they've taken all these old pictures and can have the subject talk and engage and look like they're a real person and all that.
Can they make her arm move? Like have her eat a Dorito?
I'm
Sure
they can. But so where this technology is being used in the mainstream dark corners of the web right now is for deep fake pornography. Scumbags are taking women's body heads and putting them on porn stars' bodies and all that, so they can create revenge porn, fake porn. All of this is...
It's like a newer version of Photoshop, where they used to take...
it's a much more effective
remember that,
version of
in the
Photoshop.
90s, it was oh, it's just her head on someone else's body.
Yes, now you
But
can't
now
tell it's
it's
someone else's body at all. At all. And they can not only do that with your naked, nude body, they can do it in general and make it look like you're doing anything. So where this is going...
What do you mean they can make it look like you're doing anything?
Well, I mean, that's...
Like, I can see putting it on a current video?
So this is where, let's take it into the VR film set that we just talked about for Lion King now. So...
My anger just went, what the heck?
The technology exists that once they've done a full 3D scan of your body and they've recorded your
Like
voice...
they do for the video games. When they have, like, people come to pretend to be the characters, they do a casting call for that, like people for 3D image scanning.
That's motion capture. So you're wearing a bodysuit that has different balls on it, and these points on the balls all track your body movement.
Like on Avatar or Lord of the Rings.
Yes, and there's some blending and merging of that.
Okay.
But where the technology's gotten to now is they don't need you. I mean, it's better and you get a better performance still from having the actor act this stuff out and then bring it into the VR world. But they don't even need that anymore. They can scan the person in and for the whole 3D version of them, bring them into that VR world. And just like a doll or a toy or whatever they want it to be, they can change the outfits on it. They can make them run around, jump, act out whatever they want them to do, and you can have a full 360 walk around from them, see their back, front, the whole different thing. And then where it takes to the next level is they can scan and take the voice print of your voice and can recreate almost an identical sounding voice and have you say whatever they want, do whatever they want, act whatever they want. You're a completely controlled character in this virtual world, which can then be filmed and set in stages and scanned in, so it looks like you're doing anything you want in the real world.
This sounds a lot like the movie Simone with Al Pacino, like the mid to late 90s, early 2000s movie where he created the female character from an amalgam of all these other actresses, and then he could change. He was actually speaking into the microphone but using that voice. Like, is that what they would have to do to get tone and inflection? And, like, even those little, like, brief moments where someone takes a millisecond pause saying, like, how would that... I could see how you could make a body work if you have them scanned in, and if the algorithm understands how a body would work, how you could do that, kind of like Commodore 64 Winter Games or Summer Games.
Yeah.
Summer Games, where you could have the diver, like you could make them do all weird things. But so how could you do the voice? Like
right down to ticks. Like if somebody has a tick, you can mimic and create that. So let's say whenever I talk,
if you have Christopher Walken talk,
every once in a while, I have a tick like that. Well, so they go in, let's take the anime character, pull down on the eye, pull up on there, and create a hotkey for it. So anytime they can, however deep they want the jaw to go, and create that movement to any degree they want. And then you can put a restrictor on it so it's bound by standard physics of what the human body can take or whatever. But then you could take that off and then be able to stretch skin and make it all look...
Make it become the mask.
Yeah, any kind of weird thing like that. But the point of the matter is, once you've got them in the computer, Simone was two-dimensional. Like, you could only see her in a movie, a picture, or anything like that.
Yeah.
This, you can put them in any environment you want them to and make it look like they were really there after the fact and anything, and make them do anything you want in that setting. And you can do it with a real person. Simone was a manufactured fake person. All you need is a scan of somebody.
That's not okay. That's not okay. I mean, what stops someone from using those images on other things?
Well, this
like on further projects that you haven't signed a contract to, that someone hasn't agreed to. What makes that there is no restriction on them changing the story after you've signed a contract? Having you as your personality, whatever, doing something that you wouldn't even feel comfortable acting doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, this is where we bridge the two conversations. The previous guy who believes anarchy is the truest form of capitalism. This is the type of stuff that you end up with in an anarchy society. Like, how do you police this stuff? And that's the part that he was trying to get to in the argument he's trying to make. It is great. You can continue to have government, but the farther capitalism goes towards its true form of anarchism, the less control government has over anything. So government can regulate this all they want. It's not going to stop somebody from taking somebody else's image and creating fake pornography with it or terrorizing and tormenting them. Anything government can do to stop that is going to come after the fact. It's going to be reactionary. It's not going to be prohibitory. And this gets to the heart of the gun debate as well. Everybody wants to talk about the gun problem. Should we have guns? Shouldn't we have guns? We gotta ban all guns. We should limit the guns. It doesn't matter. Technology's at such a state. Number one, you can print out a gun from a computer and be just as deadly. Number two, there's plenty of other weapons coming along the pipeline that people can make and have access to that are going to make guns look trivial. Guns are the simplest form of projectile technology. I saw somebody shoot a shotgun ammo with a hammer and a pipe, and boom, just shot the shotgun. You can't put that.
How do we go from VR to guns?
The regulatory stuff of creating deep fakes on people and trying to the reason government exists is to create laws and keep some sort of order within society. But we're at the precipice of a point that technology has advanced to such a stage that government is a joke trying to contain and control and regulate any of that stuff. The monetary system is now just at the tipping point of that roller coaster as well, with cryptocurrencies and all of that. There's no regulations that are going to control the future that's coming.
Wow, all that from VR. I bet Jon Favreau did not know he was bringing that on.
Oh, I think he does.
Oh.
We've been watching a lot of that cooking show that he's in, and he's a pretty smart guy.
The Chef, another show that you guys might want to watch on Netflix. It's very nice. It's lighthearted.
All right.
I like that.
So
yeah. So we didn't do M's Corner. Sorry, Emily. We do appreciate that you're watching. And in case anyone doesn't know, Siobhan has her own bakery, her own business. So look her up. Because it looks like she's taking orders, too. I've been noticing they're chit-chatting over on the side. I'm kind of jealous that I couldn't get in on that because we've been talking about other things.
I think we're going to need to pimp her out by eating some product on camera at some point.
Ooh, maybe we'll have her on as a guest.
While eating her product at some point.
Show us. Ooh, look at all the deliciousness she bakes.
All right.
Okay, so we have one question on our Discord.
Questions!
And it's kind of just to me.
All right, well, fine.
It was from Kyle, and it was after I announced that I wasn't going to be doing the show on Monday on Discord because I was working.
Can I interject here since we only have one Discord question?
Of course.
The name Kyle will forever now trigger the biggest smiles and fondest memories for me. So anyone that has Netflix, there is a game show on there called Awake.
And I thought you were talking about our Kyle. You're talking about.
And one of the first episodes on there is a lovable, bulky fellow named Kyle who is just having a good time and happy to be there. And there's never been somebody I've seen on TV more that I want to have a beer with and hang out with and just give a big hug and say, "You're my new best friend," than Kyle.
Do you know where Kyle's from?
I have no idea, but they probably say it at the beginning.
Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Is that where he's from? Did you see it? Of course he's from Iowa.
He's fun. Okay, so our Kyle said, very good on part of the production team. So with all that put together, what's the big factor that you would say plays into the work process with a show like this? When he was talking about Monday, I did the WWE Raw show at Staples, and
Monday Night Raw.
The biggest part of the process is everybody works as a giant team. Like, even though there are different departments,
it's like an ant colony.
It is a giant ant colony. It is so weird. Like, our call was at 4 a.m., which means everyone was there at 3 a.m., and we started at 4 a.m. And then at 6 a.m., a second call came in, where it was more, at the beginning it was just the props pushers, the people helping unload the trucks. And then at 6 a.m., all the other departments and more props pushers came in so that everything could get unloaded and everyone could start getting everything set up. But before they're allowed to get set up, even though we push things all into their own little areas, they all have to help clear out the trucks first. Oh my gosh, the teamwork in sports has nothing on teamwork where it came to this. Like, they instinctually knew, like, you get the stuff, you go in teams of 2. Now they knew when to go in teams of 4. They knew exactly, people were popping out, helping exactly when they should. It was so just like a choreographed dance. It was awesome. The Sugar Plum Fairy Dance.
I feel like it needs the Mario Show music.
I never played video games that much, but it was awesome. And I think that's the biggest part of the process is how everybody kind of works in a similar goal. Nobody was shitty with each other. Nobody yelled at anybody else. Nobody was rushing anybody. Like, everybody was helping out as much as they could. Because sometimes we had these giant, like, rigs that were about a good 10 feet tall and 14 feet long. And granted, there's one person at the back and one person at the front. But even then, like, other people are walking by, and then someone will move a barricade, so you have to, like, quickly move. And people just step out and start helping right away. It was nice to be on real teamwork, where it's just, the sooner we get it done, everybody's still getting paid the same amount no matter what.
You're not dealing with that amateur indie stuff. You're dealing with the big boys.
Yes. It's not I don't do that. That wasn't what I was hired for.
That's the definition of union.
Mm-mm.
You're not allowed to step on a truck unless you're invited.
That's different.
Gotta have your lines.
That's a different one. That's a different insurance policy. All right, so we are now on to bullet blitzes.
Bullet blitzes. So we decided we're going
Blitz
to
the
use.
bullets.
We're using lasers for the bullet blitz.
Okay, do it. Find them. Oh no, you tease.
Where did the laser go?
All gone.
Oh, there it is. You want to go first or second?
I will go second.
Okay. So this week in the news, I read a story about a lady that woke up still strapped into a seat on an airplane while it was completely abandoned, the lights were turned off, and it was shut down for the night at the terminal.
Where was that?
I don't remember which airport it was at.
American? Like an American lady?
I'm just giving you the scenario.
Okay, I like details.
My question for you is, what is the weirdest situation you woke up alone in?
I make it to my bed usually. It must be when I was like a kid and I just woke up in someone else's house where you wake up in that pile of coats and you have no idea where you are, but somehow an adult just put you in that room figuring your parent will find you later.
You never have woken up in a groggy state like, where the hell am I? What? No, never?
No,
Come
like
on.
even during the most fun college years,
Sounds
where
real
you're
fun.
not quite sure where you woke up, I always woke up in my room. Like, no matter what, I was one of those girls that you wake up in your own room in the morning. It's not safe. See?
I got that stuff.
Emily has never put herself in a weird situation where she wakes up with someone. See? Women don't do that as often.
I didn't say it with somebody else.
No, but even more so. Why would you ever wake like that's worrisome? That's worrisome. What happened to you last night?
I'll give you a perfect example. A long time ago.
You ate raw sausages.
Well, no, I woke up. I knew where I was when I woke up. That was a weird drunk night. This is a wake up. This is specifically about the waking up. So it was our first night. There was like 12 of us that went all down to Myrtle Beach and got a condo in Myrtle Beach for the week. It was our first night heading out down.
Was this a spring break?
Kind of a spring break. We were already too old for spring break. 22, 23.
Oh. So you're fresh out of college feeling like adults. Feeling fully up too old for this shit.
None of us ever felt like we were adults in our 20s.
22, 23, they were too old for that.
No.
But okay, so you gotta...
We were too old to go into Myrtle Beach, and we were certainly too old for them to go back to Myrtle Beach for the next 10 years in a row.
As a 40-something-year-old now, would you really say 22, 23 is too old for Myrtle Beach?
Yes. Here's what Myrtle Beach is.
What is Myrtle Beach?
Myrtle Beach is either families, or it's the 16 to 21-year-olds going on their vacation together by themselves for the first time. Woo!
Oh.
Yeah, that's what Myrtle Beach is. So anyway, we leaning more towards the family vacation spot. So anyway, we drove down there in our buddy's minivan. The family minivan we all took and drove down there in. And somebody was a designated driver. We went out to the bars on the strip there, and all piled in. There was like probably 8 or 9 of us piled in this minivan, right? So we get hammered, wet t-shirt contest, parties, the whole 9 yards. Crazy night in
Myrtle Beach.
In Myrtle Beach. So fast forward to Chris waking up. It's freaking hot. I'm sweating like a madman. What the hell? I can't even see. Where am I? Oh my God, I'm still in the van. Oh my God, it's like 140 in this van. Oh my God, it's 9 in the morning. It's freaking 95 degrees outside, and all the windows on the van are closed and locked in there. I keep stumbling out. I fell to the ground as soon as I came out of the van. Like, oh God, where am I? It was the first night, so we had no idea where the condo was, freaking because they parked in some like field across the parking lot. So I was stumbling around like a groggy sort of mess, trying to orient myself to where the fuck I am. And I was stumbling into the freaking condo.
The right condo?
Yeah,
there we go.
I ended up getting into the right one. I'm like, dude, what you guys didn't leave a window crack? I was like, oh man, we were pretty drunk when we got home last night. We forgot. You weren't moving for nothing.
That does happen. I will say, you have been that sleepy before. You do that at least once a week where there is no waking you. You're done. Where you are is where
they
you
talk
are.
about, every time I hear a story about kids dying in a hot car, freaking all I think about is freaking.
So good that you woke up?
Yeah, oh dude, freaking I woke up and just was spitting sand out of my mouth. Oh, I can't breathe. Yeah.
So Chris, are you superstitious?
Oh, absolutely.
How are you superstitious?
You looking for a specific answer?
Yep, I want specific.
Well, there's too many to list, but like if I look down when I'm walking, I can't step on cracks. If I'm in the
What happens if you step on a crack?
something bad will happen.
What?
It's not necessarily your mom will break her back, but like my mind likes to play Russian roulette with itself. So like you step on a crack, something bad's gonna happen, and you're gonna die.
Okay.
Freaking, that's the stakes that my mind immediately goes to. If I'm in the bathroom and the toilet flushes, freaking.
What will happen?
Well, I used to, as a kid, believe that a monster would come out of the toilet and we'd end up in a fight. So then I upped it to.
You will fight with a toilet monster.
If the monster comes out of the toilet, then I'll automatically have weapons and armor to defend myself prepared. So I'd automatically be basically in a fight with a dragon on the spot. Obviously, my mind realized over time that this was an irrational belief, but it still believes that if it's in there when the final gurgle goes down in the toilet, that something bad's going to happen. So there's no reason to take those kind of risks. Is there more that?
I don't know. Are there, Chris? You tell us. I just want to hear all your picadillos.
A lot of them kind of pop up on the fly. Like my mind will just decide, hey, here's some life or death stakes.
What about the tunnel thing?
You gotta honk the horn when you go through tunnels.
I will say the other night someone else did that.
Yeah, see? That's the thing.
The only one, and I saw other drivers like look around like, what the fuck? I wasn't driving slow.
That's just for fun. Because everybody that's going through the tunnel at the same time does it. Then it'll be really fun.
Did you have that when you drive past a cemetery, you have to put your finger on the window, take your feet up off the floor and hold your breath?
But I did used to have a cemetery one that I overcame because I realized it was probably pretty dangerous. I used to tell myself every time I drive past cemetery, I have to keep my eyes closed until I'm past the cemetery.
Oh, you can't do that while you're driving. No, those are the games you play as a passenger.
You don't understand.
It's not even a game, but you don't get to do that as a driver. No.
The other voice in my head is an insane daredevil with my life. Yeah, he will put it up like, we're pushing into the center of the table. What are we, flipping coins?
All right, next question.
Okay. Well, you didn't tell me.
I did. There was the funeral one, and it's kind of a superstition, but when the numbers are the exact same, like 333, 444, 1111, you gotta make a wish. Like, if you see the clock then, but you can't watch the time change. If you see the time change, you don't get your wish. Yeah.
Any volume numbers must be at increments of 5 or 0.
Yes, they must. There is a difference. Between 15 and 20, there is a huge difference between those, especially on the TV.
Hold up. there is absolutely a huge difference between 15 and 20, 20 and 25. Where there is not a huge difference or an audible difference is between 23 and 25 or 22 and 20. So if it's going to be on 20, just put it, or 21, just put it on 20. If it's going to be at 22, just put it at 20. If it's going to be at 23, just put it at 25.
That's too loud.
23 and 25 are the same value.
No.
I promise you.
They're not. That's why they're different numbers. Yes? Yes, people? Yes? That's why it's numbered. It's actually like a Hertz thing.
We're getting into quantum theory here. There are differences that take place on the quantum realm.
See?
But
touching the window when you go over the train track.
But they are
I haven't thought about that one in a while. Yeah.
imperceptible on the real level. So, unless we want to dive into quantum mechanics here.
Yeah, I don't. Let's go on to the next question.
We're going to have to stay the course. See? Even Siobhan knows about the fives. All right.
But do you do that with everything, like everyone else around you has to? Because he'll actually be at other people's houses and they'll turn up the volume. And they'll put it at like 26 and he's like, can you go down one? Like, just don't look at the TV when someone's pressing the button, dude.
I'm not saying it's too loud. I'm just trying to save us all.
What he doesn't know is he leaves the room and then we adjust it. And so he doesn't see
You're
it.
inviting chaos. Literally just inviting it into your home.
Anarchy. Pure anarchy. Kiss your hand, smack the ceiling when running red. Ooh.
Okay, so...
Unfortunately, we have the freaking cameras on most of the red lights out here, so once you do that, they're also getting a picture of you smacking the ceiling. That's a good one.
Okay, so my next... Oh, we're missing... That was for yours.
Oh, okay.
This is for mine. Okay.
There we go.
So I got into a little row on a Facebook group this week for giving somebody advice in a Buffalo film extras chat. So the person put in there, I've been in theater for 5 years and I'm really think I'm ready for the next level. I'm desperate for an opportunity to act in a film or something. Can anyone give me any advice on how I can increase my opportunities? Knowing full well that opportunities are scarce in Buffalo, my advice to her was very simple. Don't be afraid to look in the surrounding areas, like the Cleveland, Ohio Craigslist.
The Tri-City area.
The Toronto Craigslist. The New York City Craigslist. The Rochester Craigslist. All these surrounding areas where when we were in Buffalo casting for projects, people came from those areas to audition in Buffalo for stuff. So it's not an unheard of crazy distance to go to get your opportunity. The internet is literally filled with success stories of people that walked to a job interview, to anything they had to do to get that one chance. Half the time, somebody that offers that kind of opportunity is wanting to see how far you're willing to go to do it, hopefully in an ethical manner. So that's all my advice was. Don't be afraid to look in the surrounding areas, more opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of people started attacking me, and once again, you're anti-Buffalo, and you tell people to leave the area of Buffalo for they're all complaining there's not opportunities in Buffalo, but anyone that suggests to look in the other areas for opportunities is now an anti-Buffalo hater.
Had any of these people said anything to her for advice up to then?
Oh, no, they didn't say
anything. So she was just cricketing there with nothing. The moment you made a comment, now they all have to see that comment.
They came for the drama. They came for the drama and act like they were defending her from literal, actual decent advice that like most other people wouldn't bother to even waste their time with. Okay. And then I tried explaining to them that this is why so many people, especially in this industry, withhold and don't even bother giving amateurs advice and information and feedback. Because freaking either them or the peanut gallery can't take the hard information and the honest truth and apply it. They don't want to hear that information. They don't want to hear that, oh, you're not willing to find a way to go 100 miles away for an audition for a film? Well, there's 10 other people that'll walk there for the audition. That's what you're up against. That's not me being an asshole. That's me telling you the score and what you're up against. If you can take that information and apply it to your decision making, or you can pretend it doesn't exist and wonder why you're never getting your opportunity.
Okay.
Boom. So, my question to you is tough advice. What is the best harsh advice you've ever gotten?
In high school, my mom started having this saying because my sister was 3 years older, my brother was 3 years younger, and we had foster kids who were either in between my sister and my age, exactly my age, or in between my brother and I's age. And let's just say there was a certain point when everyone was a teenager or just about to be. And so there was like 5 kids, 6 kids in the house. And Mom just started saying, "Get over it." Like, that was her freaking catchphrase for like a good 3 years. She just looked at us all while we're just screaming at each other and angry as all hell. Just balls of hormone and emotion, and no one ever gets it. And all she could do is just look at you and be like, "Get over it."
So is that how I should start handling you?
If you want me to handle you like I would my mother back then.
Whoa!
Exactly.
That's
I'm like, don't start acting like a mother unless you're ready to be treated like a mother.
That's not very respectful.
Yeah, so don't ever just tell me to get over it. Only moms are allowed to say that because they deal with so much bull crap. It doesn't mean I got over it in any way whatsoever, but that would be the harshest advice I pretty much got was the full-on, dude.
Kind of disappointed I didn't make the list. Given some harsh advice before.
Anyone you're in a relationship, a love kind of relationship, not a family where you're blood no matter what. There's a level where it's not even advice, it's your own personal preference. So that's not advice in any way whatsoever. It's you trying to get your way and saying it in a tone in which it sounds like advice, but you're like,
will give you advice too.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about this? When someone tells me something that I know will benefit them specifically, it's not advice. It's just trying to get me to do what you want.
Maybe it just so happens to benefit them because they want to see the best for you.
That's never it.
No, never.
No, only with moms and dads.
No one ever.
That is the only time. Siblings don't have it.
Nice,
Friends
like
don't even have it.
Gym teacher on Big Mouth. That's only for mommies and daddies.
Kind of. Big Mouth is hilarious. So what about you, Chris? What is the harshest advice you ever received?
The harshest advice I've ever gotten was also the best advice I've ever gotten. And it was kind of like a drug hit, too. I've always wanted to be treated that harshly and get that kind of harsh feedback again, and have yet to find it somewhere.
Who gave it to you?
So the community networking group we were a part of a long time ago.
The Table?
The Table, yes.
The Table.
There was an elderly gentleman that was a script doctor that provided script writing services and that was part of the group. And he offered to give any aspiring writers a free first 10-page critique. And he would spend an hour of time with you, meet you at Starbucks. And
that's actually giving an awful lot. Having read other people's scripts.
So he went through and tore apart my 10 pages to the utter bone and didn't pull any punches. And it's one of the things I've been most thankful for my entire life. I had no idea what a finished script looked like. I had no idea what I was doing wrong. I had no idea what made me look like a fool. And it improved my writing so drastically overnight, but more than that, it was like teaching a man how to fish. I understood so much more of what to look for, what to understand and pace out, and just, I don't know, man. It opened my eyes to so many things you just didn't know you didn't know, and changed my life. And I was so thankful he didn't worry about not hurting my feelings and telling me how much of a fool I was, and how every jackass that thinks they're a writer makes this mistake, and all of those things. The people, and I learned hard. The people that actually are writers are the ones that go through that and actually want to continue and get better and learn from it, rather than the ones that say, "Oh, screw you, you're going to tell me I'm not a writer?"
We had an acting teacher in college, Dr. Saad, who told us, when I stop critiquing you, that's when you're so bad, I can't help you.
I don't give a shit anymore.
Like, when I just say good, you should know I'm done with you. Like, you should give up. It's just for fun for you. When I can tell you ways to improve, even the tiniest little way that's more in-depth than you would normally get, you're doing a good job. Like,
what about Ivan had to have some doozies of harsh advice.
Ivan's advice wasn't harsh, it was practical. When I moved out here
it's usually the harshest advice.
The Van Mar Academy is one of the schools I came to and started taking lessons out here to get used to doing film auditions. because it is different than theater. And although I had film in my college, once you go somewhere, you actually have to do more hands-on experience. And he had a great record of actors who got out there, so I started taking his classes. And he was one of those grumpy old, like, 70-something, been here since the film industry basically started. I did everything from westerns to all the way up to, like, he had his walls.
The best dying impression of any actor ever.
All of these actors that he had taught who wrote personal messages, who would still call and everything, and it was incredibly practical, from how you knock on the door, how you enter, who you speak to, the tone in which you do it, like every single thing. If you messed up from the very start, like you could knock on the door and he didn't like how you knocked, he's like, do it again. You're going to keep standing outside while everyone's in here waiting for you to enter. Like, it's the most awkward thing in the entire world, but it's not harsh. It's training. It's reality. It's what you're paying for.
All right, dear.
Last one. It's summer. It's officially summer. We had the longest day of the year come by. So, I would like to know, what would be your perfect vacation? I want to know the city, what the activity would be that you want to do there, why you want to be in that specific city, what the one activity, and what would be your accommodations.
Honestly, the thing that keeps coming back to my head is I'd love to spend a week on Catalina Island and get just a little cabin or one like the thing we had before. And just
what's the thing we had before? You gotta tell other people. I mean,
it's kind of like a hotel hostel where we had the whole place to ourselves. It had a sunroof deck. It was just perfect.
Would you go during the on season then?
Oh, never that. No.
Okay.
No. But yeah,
when we went there, it was the off season. It was like October, November, and there were no tourists on the island.
Just a bar hop, spend the days kind of writing, go to the dollar taco at the golf course.
If anyone doesn't know, I'm not a huge fan of tacos.
Yeah, Catalina Island. But like, if it had to be like somewhere outside of the Los Angeles area, probably like Savannah.
Oh, that's cool. Emily's got a nice answer to that. Chris, can you read it?
Traveling to all the states where all my friends are. I would stay at the cheapest hotels because all I care about is meeting them. Emily, if they're your friends and you're going to feed them, they should be welcoming you into their homes.
Yeah, you don't stay in a hotel.
Into our home. All you need is gas money to travel to see your friends.
Come on over. Or a Greyhound ticket. That's a good way to see everywhere because Greyhound goes everywhere.
All right, let's wrap this episode of Gratcast up here. Next week will be July. We'll be getting into some more formal topics.
Next week is July already? No.
Next week is freaking July.
It's the 24th. No way.
Yeah, next week.
Oh, it will be the 1st. I thought we had 31 days.
It will be the 1st.
I don't know how you do that. How do people do that? One is 30...
you gotta know where to start.
Do you guys know how to do that? Like,
I think January is 31, so if you start with the left knuckle as January, then each inset is a non
January, February,
31 month.
March, April, May, June, July.
You got that right, Siobhan. All right. Andrew's going to figure out the knuckle sandwich on the months off camera here. We're going to wrap up the show.
I don't think I got it right.
Next week, we're going to have a more formal format with our social media.
And hopefully we'll be having Emily on because we weren't so quite sure what was going on with my schedule.
With official topic. It's our bad. Emily, I want passionate debates and meaningful topics. If you want to get into the...
Wow, that's kind of demanding.
If you want to get into the purpose of life, let's do it.
Ooh.
For this shit I'm out. For this shit I'm out.
Venus Project, folks. Look it up.
I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please.
I'm gonna live in this one right there, top floor.
Vertical crop side
You see where that skylight is? That's right over my head.
No pesticides, no bugs, no crop waste.
Out.
Good night, everyone.